Hello, everyone, and welcome to Student Dream TV. Today we have the one, the only Michael McElroy. I know I am so excited to have you. Thank you so much for being here. So tell us who you are, what you do, where you're from. Introduce yourself to the people.
Okay, I will. I'm Michael McElroy. I teach at NYU in Tisch School of the Arts in undergraduate drama. I'm the head of vocal performance in the new studio on Broadway, which is one of 10 acting studios in undergraduate drama. I'm also the director of diversity initiatives for the entire department of drama, and I'm a performer. I have my own organization, Broadway Inspirational Voices, which I founded 27 years ago. And I'm an artist slash activist, I think, in some ways. So that's who I am.
Yeah, like as I was even asking the question, I was just like, it must be hard for you to answer that question because I feel like you wear a million hats and you don't just like wear them, like you wear them amazingly. You have the Midas touch, like anything you touch turns to
Oh,
gold.
really?
And
Okay.
so I just wanted to ask, like,
Yes.
how did you establish all these different like businesses as an artist, like these different ventures? Like,
Mhm.
you're an artist, but you're also a professor, but you're also leading Broadway Inspirational Voices, but you're also a writer, but you're also a director,
Mhm.
so many other things. So,
Mhm.
how did you establish all these different things? Like, you're one person, but you do all of these things, but you also do them so well. So,
Mhm.
like, how?
I don't know that you ever establish it. I grew up, as you know, I grew up in church. My father was a minister, my grandfather was a minister, and my family was, we were all the musicians in the church. So I just grew up surrounded by really strong values that centered in service, in art and in service. So I grew up around incredibly talented musicians. My mom, she still plays, she's 80 years old, she still plays every Sunday at
Yes,
church.
mom.
My brother plays at church. My sister plays at church. My uncle, now all my nieces and nephews. I grew up with this love of music, love of all kinds of music, of the arts, and this commitment to service, to giving back. Um, so I don't think I really look at myself as going, I want to do all these things. I just allow myself to be open to possibilities when they come, and I say yes. When I started Broadway Inspirational Voices in 1994, I wasn't thinking 27 years down the line that it's a 501c3, you know, organization with outreach programs and performances, 365 days a year. I wasn't thinking that. I was thinking there was a need in our community for healing, and then I felt that I could bring it through this music. And that just, for me, the answer or the lesson learned is saying yes. I think you don't always know what the path is. So all you can do is do what's in front of you to the best of your ability. And when you do that, the next thing will present itself as it presents itself. So I never set out to do all of these things. Like I said, I just was, okay, here's an opportunity. I say yes. I do it the fullest of with all my heart and soul. And then that would lead to the next thing and the next thing. And though I don't want to, misrepresent. There were moments where there were not things happening,
Yeah.
but I never felt like there wasn't richness in my life, right? So I don't know. I just say yes, and when things scare me, when they're like, I hear about them and I go, ooh, then I know it's something that I have to do, and I say yes,
Mm.
and then figure it out on the journey. Give myself a break, work really hard, but give myself permission to fail, grace when I do, and just get back up and keep doing it.
Yeah, I just want to also ask you, like, how do you accept failure, especially as an artist? Like, there's definitely so many bumps in the road before, like, there's not even a part, like, anything to reach, but like on this journey, it's like so hard. So, like, practically, like, how do you take your failure? How do you give yourself grace, especially in those times? As artists, we're very hard on ourselves, we're very dramatic. Like, what are your tips for that?
Well, this you're about 127 years younger than me. So you're a different generation. In my generation, your generation has way more pressure than my generation had because you all are, because of social media, because people really kind of narrate and facilitate their identity out there. And so you're constantly inundated with this perfection that doesn't exist, that's being held up. So Facebook, here's my Broadway show, or this is the great thing I'm doing. People don't always show you the bumps, they show you the good stuff. So it creates this mindset of, I've always got to be operating at this level. And if I'm not achieving that, that's what everybody else is doing. But that's not true, right? And so I think you learn a lot more from your failures than you do from your successes. And when you get older, when you're my age, you don't care so much when you fail because you know you're not going to die, and you know that there's something to be learned in that experience. In spiritual and not religious, but one of my friends, really good friends, Angela Robinson, always talks about the valley of preparation. And for me, the way I think about it, if every experience I had was at the mountaintop, always great, always successful, always getting everything I want, it wouldn't mean anything. It is in those valleys of preparation, when you're on the other side, on the downside, where things are shifting in you and around you, that you really learn what kind of person you are, and where you learn the skills to be able to navigate all kinds of experiences. And so that when you're on those mountaintops, you have a different appreciation for it, right? So failure, to me, nobody ever loves it, but as an artist, they're the greatest discoveries to be found in the things that fail miserably. What did I learn, right? When you're successful, everybody loves you. Everybody says all the things you want to hear. It's, who are you when nobody's around? Who are you when you're not succeeding? Who are you in those moments where what you thought was going to be hasn't come to pass? Who are you then, right? And so as you get older, you become more accustomed to not being afraid of those places. There are higher stakes. You want to have a standard of living. You want to, you want to be able to pay your bills. You want all those things. So that's not the kind of success and failure I'm talking about. I'm talking about in the craft, right? I'm talking about in the engagement of your artistry, risking and trying things and exploring things and failing. That's where you learn.
Oh my God. Mic drop. Mic drop. Yeah. Michael, even whenever you speak, it's just like there's so much wisdom that has come from like just the rich experiences that you've already said that you've just lived throughout your life. So just thank you for sharing that. That's really so encouraging for me. Like right now, we're all budding students, and just learning how to be okay with failure and how to learn from it versus like making it personal and being like, oh, because I failed, I'm a failure or something, which is
your generation puts such pressure on yourselves that when you fail, you equate failure exactly with who you are as a person. No, it's just something that happened to you that you can now examine and get to the other side of. But if every failure is equated with your self-worth, that's a hard road to go.
It is. So thank you for everything that you said. And like within what you were saying, you were also talking about like paying your bills. And Michael, as an artist in this world, we know that artists being financially stable is hard, to say that.
Yeah.
So I wanted to ask you, because at Student Dream, we're very, like, our thing is making sure, like, especially like the Black community is like financially stable, that we're building wealth for generations. So I just wanted to ask you, like, as an artist, like, what are your top 3 practical tips to becoming financially stable and like being booked and busy, working, like being able to pay our bills? Like, what are your tips for that?
That's a good question. I was just writing some notes. When you are in your season of plenty, save your money. When you are in our union and you're doing a professional gig, that's a union gig, whether it's on Broadway or regional or national, Our union makes sure that you are offered a 401k and that you can actually take money out of your salary every week. It could be $50, $100, $25, but get used to the habit of saving, right? Because like you said, we're in a business where it goes up and down. So, you know, we want to sometimes live for the moment and be like, oh, I got this Broadway gig, I'm gonna get this apartment, I'm gonna go here, I'm gonna do that. And none of it is about saving. And I don't think in our communities, we have enough examples of
Yeah.
that being valued. We see a lot of, I was talking to a friend about this, we see a lot of music videos with people with the money and they in the fancy cars and you're drinking the, you know, the big champagne and all and dressed in all the high fashion stuff. But we don't see many examples of people who look like us who are encouraging saving your money, encouraging you investing your money, encouraging saving and putting it into a 401k, those kinds of things that will give you cushion in those times when you're not working, right? It's just not valued and it needs to be valued more.
Yeah, that is so, so, so true. Saving, that's, you know, we always learn about saving, but like doing it and saying it are just two different things. And, you know, hopefully when the people hear you, they'll
Oh,
take these words and put it into action, you know.
yeah.
Yeah, so I also wanted to ask you about you talked about Broadway Inspirational Voices, but like I feel like you said that you saw the need and then you acted, but like what was that process like? Like
Mhm.
a lot of times we see a need and we'll have an idea like, oh, it'd be cool for this to happen, but like how did that process start for you to be like, okay, I think there should be this, and then actually implementing that like physical, like in reality, you know?
You know, I'm conflicted about by this, but I know it to be true in some areas of my life more than others. But when you ask the universe, whether that's God or the universe or your higher power or just out into the world, the things that you need, things I've noticed, things start to shift
Mm,
into place. And at that time, it was I moved here in 1990. Um, it was the height of a pandemic, the AIDS epidemic, and our theater community was ravaged, devastated. You know, for me to be in my first Broadway show and to have this beautiful dancer, watch him from being this incredibly beautiful life force of energy and dancing and just amazing, you know, down to less than 100 pounds on an oxygen tank, and seeing that story play out all over. You know, what I will always I value about theater community is that we rally. We know how to rally and fight for and raise money. But what I saw in that moment was that we were raising money. Broadway Cares, Equity Fights AIDS was established, and we were fundraising and doing all these things, but there was nothing being done to tend to the spirit, tend to the part of us that could not reconcile what was happening. It just wasn't logical. It was like, how is this happening? Right? And so me creating Broadway Inspirational Voices in that moment was about, here's a diverse group of artists, of actors, performers, sharing this material, and you come to it in any way you want to receive it, you know? And that people came. They came and they received it in a way that made me know that it was right. It was what people needed. Because also you have people who are coming, and because the music is all gospel at that time, what we did was gospel music, they are also battling their own spaces of belief because they've been kicked out of environments that told them that who they were meant that they were not worthy of being in those spaces. So coming into this space and knowing everybody was welcome. You're seeing a diverse group of people, diverse racial, ethnic, gender identities, all of that here, and seeing that reflected back in the audience and knowing that we're celebrating coming into community through this music, but everybody's welcome, was a very healing experience and one that people wanted because we were in such a space of sorrow and grief and hollowness from what was happening to our community. Um, but I didn't know it was going to turn into this. I didn't know that. I just saw it needed to happen. And I asked people, I asked 11 friends. They said yes. I had to find somebody to play. I had to find a band to play. They said yes. And then it slowly became over time what it is now.